Cantrick, a diverse kingdom rich with history and a dark past, home to a long line of tiefling rulers. But our story starts with Damocles, a wicked tiefling king, who brought evil not only to his kingdom, but to his own family. Damocles was a worshipper of Asmodeus, the overlord of the 9 hells, patron of oppression and power, and corrupter of the innocent. Damocles followed the path of Asmodeus, even going as far as killing his own mother, who was the lone ruler and queen at the time, just to prove his loyalty to his god. Across the continent was a kingdom known as Warwick, once ruled by an elven king and a human queen, populated by elves and humans alike, now overcome by orcs. The chief of a small orc tribe, Grothmuk the Conqueror, had gathered all of the orcs of the land to band together and raid the kingdom to take it over. Grothmuk took the throne and became king of the orcs. The orcs had either enslaved or killed or ran out the humans and elves, closing Warwick's borders so that no one could get in or out. Grothmuk took the human queen as a trophy, to be an example of what he had done. The queen died giving birth to his child, a half-orc named Mercy. It was the name the queen kept calling out over and over during labor. Although she was not a full orc, Princess Mercy was adored by the Orc Kingdom, for she was a symbol of what the King Grothmuk had done for his people. What did happen to the humans and elves? For the ones that did survive, they went into hiding. However, Cantrick had opened its borders to them, saying they could find refuge within its walls. In fact, the king, Damocles, had just married a human queen named Adelaide and hired an elven advisor named Jay, just to show his favor over the races. But alas, it was all a ruse. The humans and elves were still treated as a lower class, getting low-end jobs such as maids for the king, or becoming soldiers, fodder for war, an increase of numbers. And Damocles reveled in the power he had over them. His poor wife, Adelaide, was also a trick. In the middle of the night, he would slowly drain her of her life force, giving it to himself in pursuit of immortality, then erasing the events from the queen's memory, so that she could not remember the draining, therefore being unable to defend herself. The queen soon became bedridden because of how much life she had lost. But before the queen got sick, she gave birth to 2 beautiful and healthy children, a half-tiefling son named Virgil, and a beautiful human daughter named Nova. The queen was happy to have a family. The king, however, was not. Having an heir to the throne threatened his crown, so he devised a plan. He raised Virgil to be incompetent, keeping Virgil in the dark and keeping his skills weak. As for Princess Nova, she would take her mother's place as a source of life force when the queen was dead. However, nothing would have prepared him for what the future held. When Virgil was old enough, he sent him to Warwick, the Orc Kingdom, to negotiate with them, to convince their kingdoms to create an alliance. However, once they got close enough to Warwick, the guards escorting the prince were instructed to break off his horns, a huge dishonor to tiefling kind, and then kill him. They would blame it on the orcs and return the horns to his mother, who was still very sick. The plan was then to suck the rest of her life force out of her body and say the shock of the death of her son had laid the final blow to her weak body. However, they only managed to break Virgil's horns and beat him before the orc soldiers had showed up. They had chased off the guards, then brought Virgil to their own kingdom as a prisoner. Deep in Warwick's dungeon, a lonely prince wept. He was a disgrace to his kingdom, and his own father wanted him dead. He had nothing left to hope for. That was until a very curious half-orc princess came into the picture. She was filled with pride, confidence, hope, and wonder, and she fell in love at first sight with the half-tiefling prince. She would visit him every day and talk to him non-stop about anything and everything. He became reliant on her presence. It was the only thing keeping him sane. A month passed, and suddenly, he was being rescued. In a strange turn of events, his human sister Nova turned out to actually be an Aesir of Corellon. She had broken into the kingdom of Warwick just to save him. With her was the elven royal advisor Jay, a Tabaxi prince/pirate from the nearby kingdom of Dason, and a Nothic who had been training the princess to control her newfound powers. Somehow they had befriended Princess Mercy and convinced her to show them where Virgil was. After negotiating with King Grothmuk for Virgil's life, the group knew what they had to do. They had to kill Damocles and stop his evil reign. With the group's combined power, they were able to sneak into the castle of Cantrick discreetly and confront the King Damocles. It was a fearsome battle, but the final blow was given by the Aesir Princess Nova, who looked into the king's eyes as he perished, forcing him to acknowledge who she was, acknowledge that he had lost what could have been his family if it were not for his own selfishness, acknowledge that he had been beaten by his own pawn. Shortly after the king's death, Queen Adelaide, who had only survived thanks to the elven royal advisor Jay giving half of their own life to the queen, had announced Virgil as the true heir to the throne of Cantrick. His first act was to form a true alliance with Warwick, the Princess Mercy throwing a fit if her father would not accept. And a year later, Virgil asked for Mercy's hand in marriage, who was very, very happy to accept. They both had new plans for their kingdoms. They bonded over what made them both so similar. They were both half human. They decided to act and create a safe space for humans and elves, creating them as equals and giving them equal rights. There was a newfound peace that came over the land, and while Virgil and Mercy are on the throne, their kingdoms shall prosper. Which brings us to today. The kingdoms have never been happier, but there are still some tieflings who follow Asmodeus, and some who are very unhappy that their kingdom is overruled by different races. They wish to destroy the harmony, but we must protect it and the royal family. Your job is to guard the princess Adelaide with your life. No harm is to come to her under your careful watch. Know that you aren't the first guard to the princess and won't be the last. Being born of tiefling and orc blood is a recipe for trouble, and the princess is no stranger to the term. She has gone through many guards in her lifetime, which is why we sought help from outside of the kingdom. We paid a high price to hire you, seeing as the royal family's safety is top priority. But if the princess is too much for you to handle, the sooner you say so, the better for all of us. Now that that's out of the way, it's time to meet the person you will be spending all of your time with. Princess Adelaide is just beyond this door. As of right now, you are on the clock. Be on guard. Good luck. Look at you! Aren't you a fearsome foe? Such a tough and stoic demeanor. You mean business, don't ya? Look at that armor. It's not the royal armor. Are you from another kingdom? I don't see any symbols from any other kingdom. Wait, how did you get past the guards? Are you a thief? Have you come to steal the royal jewels? Or are you here to capture me? How exciting! Where will you be taking me? Did you already lay waste to the guards, or are you going to force me to be quiet while we sneak through the castle? Oh, if it's going to be a long journey, I'm going to have to pack. Do you mind if I grab a few things? Oh, I'm sorry I haven't given you a chance to speak. What were you going to say? Did I get it all wrong? You're not a thief? Oh, you're the new bodyguard. I have to say, Mom and Dad didn't do half a bad job. You seem quite capable, and you're not half bad to look at. Well, I mean, if I'm going to be around you all the time, I might as well be happy to see you, right? Oh, where are my manners? Hold on a minute. A curtsy and an introduction. I am Princess Adelaide O'Farnham. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I put my life in your capable hands. How's that? Not bad, eh? I've had way too much practice. Princess training has always been at the top of the list for the most boring chores. I'd much rather be curled up with a good book. Nothing like escapism when you're not actually allowed to escape. And now that you're here, it will be even harder for me to sneak away, I'm sure. That is, unless you take me out to places. You will take me out to places, won't you? After all, as long as I'm with a bodyguard, Mom and Dad are more likely to let me leave the castle. Of course, when Aunt Nova is in town, or Jay, our advisor, isn't busy, they're allowed to take me wherever I wish. Which I must say, is always much more of an adventure. The stories those two could tell are unbelievable, but all very true. Quite adventurers, that lot. It's basically a rite of passage into the family at this point. Everyone has done such amazing things. It's only a matter of time till it's my turn, right? You might just have your work cut out for you. And just to be clear, I'm not a helpless damsel. I may not be magically inclined, but Jay has trained me to take care of myself if I ever need to. So if we do get into trouble, you won't be getting at it alone. I know my father said to only fight if strictly necessary. He doesn't want me to get hurt or whatever. Mother, on the other hand, says if anyone deserves it, I can definitely punch them in the face. But I promised to stay out of trouble as best as I can. As for now, we need not worry about those things. It's almost time for dinner. You'll be joining us, right? Since you need to be around me full time, you'll be eating with me as well. And the food here is absolutely delicious. You will be very well fed. While we eat, maybe you could tell me about the adventures you've been on. And you can meet my parents officially. Come on, let's head to the dining hall. You better hurry up. You won't want to get into trouble for leaving the princess unattended on your first day, right? Well, come on then. Let's go. It's going to be quite an evening.